up, YouTubers? Selling Guy 60 here. I'm working on my ghost bike, and I'll tell you what, I have lost sleep this week trying to figure this out. Wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning, get on my computer and look something up and go, yeah, maybe that might work. But I still haven't figured it out at all, but I keep inching a little bit closer. Keep inching a little bit closer. It's taken me a half hour to get this thing clamped on here. And the reason is this is not round, it's oval. And I have a screwdriver. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see that back there? Where'd it go? Where am I? Damn it. Stupid thing, I can't see. Okay, hang on. Oh, God! This thing is kicking my butt. Screwdriver right there. Because this thing is not round, it's oval, so I had to put that underneath the clamp. So I plan on running from the shaft down to here maybe. I have a clutch coming, a idler clutch coming, 5/8 shaft, that's what this is. And I bought a 5/8 shaft, 41 chain, and then I have a sprocket. So I don't know if I'm going to have to run it from here to here, or I'm going to take this wheel completely off and make my own wheel with this. It's a wheel that I've had around here. It's like a, I don't know, a two-wheeler tire cart, or whatever they call it, a hand truck. Buy these at Harbor Freight, cheap. What I'm going to do is get a 1 5/8 pipe, slide it over this, weld a plate on this, drill a hole through it, and then I can bolt my sprocket on that. But the problem I'm having there is trying to get, like everything else, get this all lined up with everything. I'm off a little bit on that shaft coming out of the engine. You need to get all this stuff square, and I don't know, once I get this tire in there, God, why does nothing ever work? Once I get that tire in there, whether I'm going to be able to run the chain through here to here. Because right now the chain may be hitting this bar, or maybe hitting this bar. I have to widen this out a little bit. So it's not as easy as I thought it was going to be. I've ordered some parts. I ordered some parts through Amazon. I received the chain yesterday, so like I said, it's a 41 chain. And then I had the idler pulley, centrifugal clutch. I bought that through Go Power Sports. And then I have a 39 tooth sprocket coming to mount on that back tire. And the sprocket has drilled out for and it has a hub adapter for a 1-inch shaft for like a go-kart. So I'm going to use that hub adapter to use as a template to drill the plate out, which I'm going to mount that pipe to that wheel and weld that on there and try to get as true as I can. So we'll see if this is going to work. I don't know. I've never done this before. Yeah, they make the things that you can buy at Amazon and stuff. It's an add-on deal to your bike. You hook this chain and deal on your bike hub and tie it to your spokes, and it goes around, and it works. It works. So I'm trying to make something that's not designed to work for there. It's a good little engine, that little 2-horse thing. Started right up. I've used those snow blowers before. They're a good little torquey little engine. Sound like I think it's an 83 cc, something like that. So it's nice to have around. So we're still kicking around and kind of waiting for all my parts to come in to see which way I'm going to go. I was going to just weld it all up, put the chain on it and make it direct drive and push it to get it started and not have any centrifugal clutch, but I kept thinking, I'm like, well, down the road I might want to do something else with this engine, and I'll pick up a centrifugal clutch and see how that works. So we're getting there. It's not easy. So I think I figured it out. You know that old saying about painting yourself into a corner. I think by limiting myself to that small bike and not to the bigger bike that I had, I needed to look at that opportunity. So I did some finagling around with this bigger bike, and I think it's going to work better, and I'll show you why. A lot of reasons. First of all, it's bigger. I can have more room to do things here. This top pipe here is actually round, so when I put this clamp on here, and I'm going to take this is just to hold it in place. What I'll probably do is get a piece of ready rod and bend it around, get a piece of 3/8 ready rod, bend it around and make these a lot shorter. So right now that would be hitting anything, that would be hitting the chain or whatever I put on here. But that bolt comes out of there. This thing here, it pops off, it slides off, it's got a square shank on it. But if you were to look at this, this is square. If I was going to put this square on the flat side of this and go all the way down there, I'm pretty close to where I'm at. It might be have to be turned in a little bit, in or out, but gives me some room there to play with. And also, I'm gonna have to shut this off and come back, so let me do that. Get you set up here. Okay, I'm back. I wanted to show you the square. I took the pedal off, and it's got a square deal, and it has a regular 5/8 bolt on it. So I could make this in or out or anything, just as long as I got something on there, and use this as a jack shaft. Jack shaft is just something that transfers your sprocket from one side to another. So, in all rights, I could probably put my centrifugal clutch there, and then my sprocket, which is like a 39 40 tooth sprocket. I might have to build it out a little bit to clear this piece right here, build it out a little bit, but I might have better chance. And also on this plate that I had this kind of secured to, I could probably cut this off, but then I could actually bolt this. There's a little space back here. I could put a piece of wood or a piece of steel on the back part here and bolt that to both these, this upper one and lower one. But I think this might be a better mousetrap, as you'd say. I'm gonna have to see if I can figure out how to get these brakes, because the front brake is kind of messed up, and the back one here it's falling apart. So I'll see if I can get the brakes to work on this thing. I haven't put air in the tires, see if the tires hold air or anything. I just kind of spitballing to see if this will work, and I think this is going to work out better. By using the smaller bike, I was kind of painting myself into a corner. It just wasn't room to expand and move stuff around, so and it was free. You know, I'm going to have probably with the chain, the sprocket. Well, the centrifugal clutch was like $39 plus like $9 for shipping, so it's like $50. I bought the chain for $20 and a sprocket I think was $25. And then I have a little throttle, hand throttle that I bought, and a chain brake to break the links off the chain so I can adjust it. So I'm thinking I probably have 100, maybe $120 into this already. I haven't even gone anywhere. But it's not something that I wouldn't be able to move to something else if I found something else, you know. I was looking at getting something smaller, a smaller chain, an H25 chain, which is really, it's actually smaller. I didn't realize it was smaller than a regular bike chain. So I stepped it up to the 41, just to the better. You can get a 35, 40, or 41 chain, and I think I have the 41, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to have to write all this stuff down and then put it in the description below, what I have and where I bought all the parts from. But it's looking better now. I was kind of losing my mind a little bit there the first time this morning when I kind of threw that all together, and it's like, man, this is not fitting well, and I'm going to have to cram this into this and cram this into that. So the problem I'm going to have is throttle on this too, because it's the way this snowblower is used to. When it bogs down, it's got a little governor in there, and when it bogs down, it advances or accelerates. It's got its own little governor in there. It governs it up and starts going, goosing it up a little bit. So I'm going to have to figure out how the governor works on this thing, because hopefully that it will idle enough that it doesn't. Hello YouTubers, well, here we are at part 2, and what a part it's been. Oh man, I tell you what, I just got on. All the parts finally got here. I was waiting for the centrifugal clutch. I have the chain, big sprocket, and I'm going to put a smaller sprocket on this one here, but it's been interesting. The batteries died on the last one. I was talking about let's see here, I was talking about the centrifugal clutch. Well, the centrifugal clutch on the bike, at a certain RPMs, these pads inside, like shoes it's almost like brake shoes, they go outwards when it's going around, and they engage the clutch to drive the gears. Other than that, under a certain RPM, it sits there and idles. Well, I don't know what the RPM idle of this 2-cycle motor is. Is it going to be so high that it's going to be making the centrifugal clutch kick in, or is it actually going to be low enough that it's in idle mode, and then when I give it more gas, then it will slowly kick in, and that's what those do. I changed my mind from the big sprocket. I could use it in another project, which I'm going to use. Build another project after this one. I went to put the smaller sprocket in. I took this sprocket off that little bike that I started out with, and the chain's gonna fit in here pretty good. It's a 41 chain, and I have a 41 big sprocket, and it's they call it half-inch pitch, and I don't know how to explain that. It's between, the pitch is between the lower part, not the pointy part, but the lower part. In between there, that measurement is the pitch. And I think this bike is pretty close to a half. And I'm going to use this, and there's a reason I'm putting the smaller one on there instead of the bigger one. Smaller one fits a little bit better, but when I see they use, I watched YouTube, and when people use jack shafts, which is taking the shaft, running it through another part, taking the drive gear from one side and going to the other side, most of those match each other. So if it's 15 tooth on one side, it should be 15 tooth on the other side. So I'm thinking this is a better match for what I have on that bike for right now. So I'm trying to match that 1-to-1 ratio on the jack shaft. And it's hard to explain, but we'll have to see if I get this thing going or not. But it's taken me, I'm not even done with this yet. I probably have about 4 or 5 hours in just trying to make this drive gear for that jack shaft, or for the pedal shaft through the bicycle to get it to drive. I haven't even started the motor yet. I haven't even put the centrifugal clutch on. I slid it on the shaft to make sure it fits. I think I'm pretty close to getting everything lined up, and you have to have everything. You have to have that chain lined up. You can't have it one way or another, or it's going to want to pop off. So that's the hardest thing is out of this whole project is getting everything moved around so it's in line with each other so that they'll drive. So it's an experience trying to get this thing balanced up. When I cut it out, I didn't cut it out quite right. The shaft, let's see here. Okay, I'll try to stay out of the shaft on there is a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. It's kind of it's little tapered on the corners. It's got a little taper on the corners. And when I drilled the center out, I drilled a 1/2 inch hole, and then I tried to chop away at this part here. You can kind of understand that. I tried to take this off. Well, I used the jigsaw, and I just ran it in this way, and I kind of chewed it up. And if I would have thought about it, I have a little air grinder. I could have used the air grinder and just went into after I drilled the 1/2 inch hole and ground out these corners to make it 5/8. So this, if we take a circle, that would be 1/2 inch, and then if you go from corner to corner, is 5/8. And that's why I had to buy a bit here for my drill bit. I had to buy a 5/8 drill bit so I could drill out the washers to fit over the shaft for spacing. That drill bit was like $23 or $22 and buck something for tax and everything. But yeah, I think if I were to do this square thing again, I've got it pretty close. I might have to put a little shim in here because I overcut it a little bit. So I'm going to have to take part of a washer, cut it maybe half, and jam it in there, and that should straighten it out. But I put a piece of wire on the back of the piece of steel that goes to the back hub of the bicycle, clamped it on there, bent a piece of wire, and I turned that around, and that piece of wire, I put it up on the edge, and it's pretty straight. So this isn't like real wobbly. It's pretty true. I took my time measuring this, double checking it, measuring it, and I got it just where I wanted to, and I put 2 set screws in it. And then I'm going to, I have some bolts I picked up from, here I did. I picked up some bolts from Ace Hardware, and these are grade 8 bolts. So these are 8 hard bolts. So you can see the little marks on there. This is a very hardened bolt, so I picked up 3 of these, and I'm going to use my drill press and drill 3 of these, and they have locking nuts. The bolts, yeah, this is funny, not funny, but these little bolt, it's a 1/4 inch coarse thread. I think it's 1/4 by 20 thread, 8 hard, 43 cents a piece. The lock nut is $1.15. So I could almost get 3 of these bolts for 1 of these. Nuts are worth, well, because they have some nylon in them to make them locking nuts, and of course, since to make locking nuts, I guess costs more money. Costs a lot more money. So you know, the nuts cost more than the bolts did, twice as much, almost 3 times as much as the bolts. But that's what you have to pay. I just started adding up in my head and on a piece of paper. I'm into this for about $200 already. I can't believe I got that much money into it. Well, I started looking at the centrifugal clutch was $49. I had to go get some stuff from Home Depot. It was $12. These nuts, or the bolts and the nuts and stuff, well, they were like $5.19. The bit like I said, it was like 23 bucks. I bought the little hand throttle for that off Amazon. That was $12. Chain brake I bought for sizing the chain. That was $15. The chain was $20. And I was wrong about the sprocket hub. The sprocket hub was $44. I get what I say on there on the, I think it's 25 or something. No. And then I had a couple of exhaust clamps. Well, those exhaust clamps are, almost $5 a piece. So it all kinds of adds up. And I haven't even, like I said, got it around the road yet. I have to work on the clutch or on the throttle cable. And I'll take off that side cover and I'll show you what I'm talking about, the centrifugal advance on that. It has no throttle on it. When you bog that motor down, it automatically advances. It gives it more throttle and makes the engine rev higher. I've used these things pushing snow, and I know they are a torquey little engine. That's why I was really happy to find this thing. It's like, man, I got to put this on something, because I've used these little Toros to push snow. I've killed them already by trying to jam too much snow into them, but you just scoop it out, give it a pull, and these things start right up. They're so easy to start. And I moved a lot of snow with one of these. I think we at the restaurant one time we have flat roof up there. We were up there with snow blowers because we had so much snow one winter. There was about 4 or 5 of us up there shoveling snow off the top of our flat roof at the restaurant. It was so, we ended up getting, I don't know, 2 feet or 3 feet of snow or something. It was bad. We had a bunch of snow to move, but and we had hauled those snow blowers up there, and they were using those snow blowers to blow off the top of the flat roof on the restaurant, which I was really impressed. And I've used them after that too for different places I've worked. There's this little engine. It's a Tecumseh. It's an 83cc engine. It's a torquey little thing. So I'm kind of hoping it should be able to pull my fat butt around once I get it all together. I've got, I mean, that's a 21 speed bike, so hopefully I can manipulate the gear somehow to, maybe I can get myself to get up and go a little bit. I imagine this thing, if I can get it just right, get everything that I needed to get on it, this thing is going to get up and go. I'm not going to go that fast, but I know I'll be able to get it to go forward. That's all I wanted, just to move forward. I was able to get the brakes to work, the derailleur's working, it has on the front sprocket, it has another adjustment there. The derailleur's on the back, and I forget what the one on the front is. It moves the chain up and down on the sprocket where you're pedaling from. I have both of those working. So we're just kind of moving forward and trying to get things going. So I'm going to get back at this one, and as I go along, I'll try to show you what I've done, and hopefully I can get this done. It's when they show these YouTube things, the people have big shops and welders, and some places have lathes and all kinds of fun stuff. I don't have all that fancy tools. I just have my 2 hands and my brain, and I kind of have to throw things together and make it work. And that's what I'm trying to do, is just to make it work. So, hello YouTubers, or what's up? Well, we've made some major strides on this bike. I'm feeling better about it. Not quite happy, but I'm getting there. Got everything pretty much in line. I need a little tweak in there, but it's pretty well in line. It needs just maybe that needs to go on. There we go. I slid off a little bit, and there it is. It's pretty well in line. It needs to kind of turn a little bit, but I can put some shims in there. I'm going to take this off so it doesn't fall off. So what I'm going to do here, I have this one mount on here with boards behind it. I'm going to probably move this bolt up higher, cut this off, move this up so that I can utilize just this bar, and then I'll get a couple more bolts and I'm going to put it down here, and it'll go into here, into here, into here, and through there. And I'll utilize this bar to stabilize the engine. And then if I need to move this left or right, I can put shims in between the wood here to tip this engine forward or in or out or whatever. So that should work there. I need to put a shield on that because that is very too close to my private parts here. If that chain ever broke, it could probably sever my leg or other parts. So here's that little wind deal, or the little vane, I call it wind vane. When this thing starts up, it turns clockwise like this. It sits there and spins around really fast. When it's at idle, it spins around really fast and puts this thing on idle. It pushes this all the way up. So as the engine bogs down, it slows down and this thing starts to fall down, and that accelerates or gives the engine more gas to go. So as you bog this thing down, this fan slows down, this thing comes down and opens up the throttle. So that's like full open throttle. So this thing would be almost completely closed or completely slowed down to everything, and that's full throttle right there. So that's idle when the fan's spinning, and then that's full throttle. So I'll have to hook up my thumb throttle. I'm going to put it up here. The exhaust, that's the exhaust pipe there. I'm going to have to kind of maybe face that out and down, maybe put an elbow on that. What else was I going to do with this here? I can still adjust this in and out for the bolts if I need to go in and out here. I had the electric start on this thing, which I really thought was kind of neat, but I had to take it off so that I could fit it on this mount. Because see, this mount has a lip. Actually, this is mounted on the other side where it's flat. So I had to take the starter off, the little electric start, which is pretty cool for this bike. But it should run. The other problem is that here's where the fuel goes in. And you can see, if you kind of see, there's where the fuel goes in. We're really close. I'm going to have to maybe build some kind of bracket to raise up the fuel tank so that the tank is higher than the carburetor. This carburetor doesn't have a fuel bowl on it. This is the primer. You push the little button deal, and you'll see once I get it all hooked up, that primes it so you can start it. Once it starts, it just pulls the fuel in through vacuum. So, and then we have two screws here. One would be idle, and the other one is fuel mixture. So we're getting pretty good right there, and kind of happy that I made this leap forward. It's taken me hours. I probably have another 4 hours just trying to get everything finagled around, and I tried different things and I've got it down. But I'm going to be taking off mentally. I'm going to not touch this thing for about a week. This takes a 32-to-1 mixture, the oil mixture, and the only one has that is like a Lawn Boy, and I can't find that. I had to order a special little bottle of two-cycle fluid from Amazon. Then I'll have to mix that and put it in the tank and fire it up, but I'm feeling good about this. We're getting closer. 21 speeds. That's the difference. This is going to have 21 speeds. And it's going to have a snowblower engine on it. Now, I was thinking that this engine being a Tecumseh, and the Lawn Boys, I've had a couple of Lawn Boys with that 32-to-1 oil mixture. That's probably a lawnmower. That's probably a Lawn Boy engine. Never thought about that. Most Lawn Boys, later on, they went to the 4-cycle deal, but the 2-cycle ones they had back in the 60s and in the 70s and some of the early 80s were 2-cycle Tecumsehs, and that is a Tecumseh motor. So that very well could be motor that was in a Lawn Boy. I never really thought about that until I ordered the 2-cycle fluid. So, interesting fact. All right, till next time, YouTubers. Finally back after a week or 8 days. We took off some time, went to Corpus Christi, Texas. Had a good time down there. Before we left, about a week before we left, our little pup Gus, we're looking for him. So where's the dog? Called him. I was like, he's not coming. I said, he's in the basement somewhere. No, what's he into now? So I go down there and I'm thinking to find piles of poop somewhere. Sometimes he gets sick and that's what he does. That wasn't the case. I'm looking for him and I go into where our laundry room is, and there he is standing there. He's got one of his paws in a sticky trap and the other paw is all got stuff all over it. It's stuck to the cement floor. So he's all looking at me. In his whiskers, he's got sticky stuff all over. He likes eating bugs. So I put these little sticky traps down. We've had this dog years. For years. 7, 8 years. Never messed with those sticky traps. Ever. So I guess I gotta push him back farther or put some kind of deal there so he can't get back into them. I like putting the sticky traps down because they little bugs going by, they'll pick them up. And you'd be surprised what you find on those sticky traps after about 6 months or 8 months. Picks up a lot of bugs. So I was like, okay. And we're all laughing. I wish I would have videotaped it. We got to get that sticky stuff off dogs and stuff, you use like olive oil, cooking oil, whatever. So it was stuck in his whiskers and in his face, and so we had to scrub all the sticky stuff off his paws, in between his paws, around the edges of his paws and his nails, and we got him pretty clean. I got him out the sticky trap, but I didn't want to set him down, so I'm holding him, and I had Flo go grab some paper towels. I wrapped paper towels around his 2 front feet. And before I set him down, he's funny walking there with paper towels around his feet. But yeah, so we got back. We were here a day. It was raining last night, so like I let the dog out in the front yard. He said, go pee. So he goes out in the front yard. All of a sudden his ears pop up and he takes off in between the houses. I was like, oh shit, what is he? Oh God. I say, oh shit, I hope it's not a skunk. So I go around there, he comes running past me. And he stands by the front door, and I walk up to him, and one eye is squinted shut, and he stinks like skunk. He got sprayed by a skunk. I was like, God, it's not a cat, it's a skunk. Oh, so we scrubbed him up last night, and God, the whole house just smelled like skunk. I went to work this morning, and one guy I work with, I said, do I smell like skunk? He goes, yeah, a little bit. It just hangs in the air. So our next door neighbor, we got some skunk stuff to scrub them up. We scrubbed them up with that stuff. Burn next door, our great neighbors. And that helped a lot. And then we shampooed him again, and he's smelling a little bit better today. But I think when I was holding him yesterday, I had wrapped a towel around him. We picked him up and just held him in place so we could just get him up right up into the sink. I guess you can use like peroxide, baking soda, and dish soap. Okay, fine, but how many people have, a gallon of peroxide in their basement? Or, baking soda, dish soap you should have. People might not have baking soda. So, it's one of those things, it's like, I never even thought about it. So, all that aside, I was able to make a little steps forward after all that stuff on the bike. So let's get back to that. Enough John. So, I thought about this when I was on vacation, and I came up with this. I've got it mounted there on this bar, and I have it mounted here on this bar. I'm going to put lock nuts on these 4 bolts. Double nut them. Where's my? This pretty lined up. Oop. This is pretty lined up with the sprocket down there. I think I might have to just take it out just a tad, maybe like right about there. I've got a lot of shaft to mess with on this thing here. But I think I've got it pretty well lined up. I bought some shims. I have some wooden shims that if I have to, I can stick in here somewhere and tap it around to kind of, if I need to tweak it, you know, if I need to tweak it to go, if I need to tweak it to go back some more, or maybe have to change the angle of it to go, you know, tilt it a little bit that way, whichever I have to do. But I got it pretty well lined up. So tomorrow I'm going to probably take that sprocket off. I still have to put those hardened bolts on it and get that all fastened up and get the Loctite on there. Get that all bolted up tight. And then I have to take the kickstand off and find some kind of box or bucket or something I can lean this on while I'm working on it. I think I might have the throttle cable figured out already in between doing all this other stuff. So that's where we are on that. Bits and pieces, bits and pieces. I tell you what, you need to really be patient. Something I don't have a lot of sometimes. You really need to take things off, on, fit them, you know, file a little bit here just to get everything to work. I had the exhaust up above at one time, so I put it down below, and now when I put this sprocket on here, the edge of the sprocket hits the edge of the exhaust. So I'm going to take the exhaust up to the our big vise up in the shop. I'll lock it in there, hit the pipe a couple of times just to move it about a 1/4 inch or so, and then I should be able to put it up underneath instead of up above. And you'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's a lot of finagling around just for this thing and run it. I've got a couple other projects for this motor already in my brain that I want to do. I want to finish this one first. So once I get this thing going, I'll probably end up riding it for a while, and then maybe I'll take it apart, and I want to build a generator with this little motor. I'm thinking about building a generator, and I was thinking of something else I wanted to make with it, but I can't think of it right now. So we'll keep on doing this one here. You know, this would be a lot easier if it was just like a mini bike or something, or I had an L bracket that I could weld a plate to that bike and just set the motor on there and line everything up. And that way, you know, it would be easy. But nothing's easy, I guess, in life. So sometimes you got to work for things that you really want to get done. So, hopefully this will be the end of part 2. See if I can't end that by putting the chain on there, and finish this part 2 by putting the chain on and get that buttoned up. Kind of busy today. It's Saturday, and it turned out to be a really nice day. I pulled out my lawnmowers that I have for sale. This one here is a Personal Pace. I tell you what, this thing cuts better than my other Toro. It's really nice. I like that Personal Pace. It's really a smooth cutting lawnmower. It's nice and quiet. And I have this one here and that one out there. I'll be selling that one tomorrow on Marketplace. But alright, well, it's got a little work here to do on the drill press. I want to get those hardened bolts on the sprocket, and see what we can do here. I'm going to edit a bunch of stuff out. I'm going to try to keep this down to at least a half hour. If it gets longer than that, it just gets too much. So yeah, hopefully you get that chain on there, get everything lined up, and then I can get on there Sunday and get it put on the boob tube. Alright. Or the YouTube. Same difference. Alright, just a little light. Alright, let's see what we can do today. This lock nut off. I think I have the right size bit. Should be. It's going to be close. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so 2 more. Alright, not going to bore you with back up. Not going to bore you with putting that sprocket back on and getting the other ones on. I'll explain kind of what I did once I get everything set back up here. So keep this short. I'll be back. Alright, the chain is on. The chain's on. The chain is on. Yay. Okay. Chain's all the way on, around the sprocket, back all the way up. Now when I spin it, I have to lift up the back tire and turn this deal by hand. It is a little bit of, it's got a little clunking to it when I turn it. I'm just going to have to do some adjusting of that, of this, either in or out, up, down, whatever. And I put this in the vise. Put this pipe in the exhaust pipe in the vise, hit it with the rubber mallet like 3 times, and that's all the space I have right there. That's not enough. I'll take that off and take it back up the vise and give it maybe 4 more thumps on it. I want at least a 1/4 inch in there because that gets hot, and that heat from this thing is going to radiate out, and it's going to get this all nice and hot, and I don't want that getting this thing warm. Either that, or I'm going to spin it around, and maybe I'll just flip it over and go up top. That way I can keep it away from there. I'll have to think about that, but I'm tired. I got the chain on. That's what I wanted to do. That is my goal for today. So that's the end of part 2. I'm going to put this all together and hopefully get it posted up tomorrow, Sunday. So Selling Guy 60, we're getting there, and this is the end of part 2. Alright.